Hey y'all. So I just wanted to give you some further clarification about Friday's exam. So I did post an outline in the news item, so make sure you look at that. Your exam is worth 30% of your final mark. So this is going to be a great opportunity for you to show me what you have learned over the last 3.5 very intense, busy weeks. Okay, so just keep it together for a few more days and we'll all be able to look up from our computers. So I wanted to give you a visual of what it'll look like because the first part's going to be worth 20 marks, the second part's going to be worth 10 marks. I'm showing you here an exam that I did 2 years ago, so it's going to be the same but different because this exam is based on a different ministry course. They have updated the ministry course, so the course that you experience this month is the new ministry course. But it will give you an idea of what your paper is going to look like, and sometimes I think people find that comforting to visualize what's going to be in front of them. Think about when your schools prepped you for the literacy test. Hopefully they gave you some sample literacy tests, so when you open those booklets, you knew what to expect, that kind of idea. So when you get your exam, there'll be a little blurb at the top here. But I really have to caution you, we do not know each other at all. So we have to work on the honor system and trust. If I see your cell phone out at all during the exam, your paper will be confiscated and your exam will get 0. So if you have a strong addiction. I have 2 teenagers in my house, so I understand that. If you have a strong addiction and you feel like if it's anywhere on your person, you're going to pull it out, okay, you need to make sure that you leave it up at the front with me, or you leave it at home, or you leave it in your backpack and put that up at the front of the room. So just to warn you, we're very serious about that. There will be a lot of you writing because Miss Lee's class will be writing, and there will be an overflow room. So Miss Lee will be with some of you, I'll be with some of you, and I don't know, I think some of the civics teachers will be with others. So you need to make sure that cell phone is not seen anywhere, not in your desk, not in your pocket, not in your hand. People say things like, oh, it's just checking the time. You don't need to check the time. We'll be writing that on the board. Okay, we'll be giving you verbal. You have an hour left. You have 45 minutes left. So no excuses. We see the cell phone out, the exam's confiscated. So that's kind of the negative part, but unfortunately in this day and age, it's something that we do have to address because this certainly wouldn't be an exam situation if that didn't happen with somebody, okay? So when you get it, you can make sure that your paper you're going to have an article that's going to be given to you. You're going to have to make sure that you have all the pieces of the puzzle. We'll photocopy it, but sometimes the photocopier skips a page. So just, that kind of housekeeping stuff. And the first part's going to be a sight reading. So you're going to get a sight passage. It's not going to be anything, it'll be new to you, but the level of understanding of it, the content, the vocabulary, the reading level, that type of thing will be familiar and certainly be accessible for you to do a good job with the analysis questions. So you're going to get 6 questions, and then you're going to write a paragraph as well. So the instructions are going to be somewhat similar. Now, when we did this course before, there was a real focus on the persuasion techniques, and we looked a lot at Obama's writing and Winston Churchill's writing and Trudeau's writing and some other past leaders sort of globally. So that was the focus of that course. So that's why we did Justin Trudeau's victory speech as the sight passage. So obviously yours is not going to be that because this course does not have that focus, okay? So what I want you to do when you get the sight passage is I want you to go through and I want you to annotate it. So what that means is go through it, and if I'm asking you a question about tone, maybe you'll highlight a word, a phrase, some quotation, and maybe you'll put a tone word down. Maybe that'll be, oh, okay, maybe I think this is the tone of the piece. So I want to see that you've processed it, you've digested it, you've chewed on it. Right? That you're looking through and you just didn't read through it once. You will not be able to answer the questions that will be coming for the sight passage without reading through it at least twice. So this would be my approach. You know yourself as learners though. So I would read through it once, okay, read through the questions, what am I looking for, read through it once, and then go back and do another annotation. You have 2 full hours. You do not have to write an essay on this exam. You are answering 6 short questions, and then you're going to be writing 2 paragraphs in response. So you have more than enough time to do at least 2 read-throughs of the sight passage. And the sight passage is not that long as well. Okay, so time should not be an issue. Okay. So read through that and then annotate it. So if you know you're going to be asked questions about literary devices, if you're reading through and you know a metaphor smacks you in the head, highlight it, underline it, write metaphor beside it. If you think, oh, maybe that's an example of logos or pathos, write it down. So really process it, because when I get your exam, this is the final exam, so I'm not going to be putting any comments on it. I'm not going to be giving you any feedback. This is just, I'm reading it over and that's it. That's all you're going to get. So if I look at your paper and I see that, wow, you really annotated that, you've really made a really strong effort to find a simile, to find an example of ethos, whatever it is, okay, that's going to serve you well, because that's all part of the analysis, right? We're not looking for summary here. We're looking for you to synthesize your information. This is your last time to show me that you know your stuff based on this course. So go through, read it, mark it up, okay? It's yours to digest it as you will. And then you're going to have some questions. And again, your questions will not be these exact questions, but they will look very similar when you see it. And this is just my style, and I've not taught any of you, so you're not used to my style, but this is what it'll look like. So the question will say, in your own words, identify the tone of the speech. And what I've done is that I have highlighted I've bolded the word. I put it in bold so that is going to be the focus, okay, of your answer. Now, in this case, okay, if it's worth 3 marks, you would write 3 questions. If a question is worth 1 mark or 2 marks, do not write a paragraph. After 27 years of teaching, I know what that means. It means that you don't really know what the answer is, but you hope that you're right enough that the teacher will fish through for some points, some marks for you. So make sure if it's worth 3 marks, you're only giving me 3 sentences. If it's worth 2 marks, give me 2 sentences, but make sure they count. Okay? And if you're asked for a quote, you need to make sure that you give me a quote. Okay, so that's what the short answer questions are going to look like. So things will not be a surprise. I've already listed the topics that you'll need to review. There is not a ton of content in the course. This is a new ministry course. There's not a ton of content. So it should not take you that long, but it should be your priority tomorrow night, because Dropbox is closed tomorrow at 2 p.m. Nobody can submit anything after that point. So you have from 2 p.m. till 10 the next morning to go through, review the content. If you think you're solid with literary devices, but you're still unsure of rhetorical strategies like pathos and ethos and logos, spend some time on that. Get in the FAQ, ask people some things, okay? Ask questions. So that is entirely encouraged for you to approach your studying like that. So there will be no surprises, but I will tell you that because this out of 30 marks is worth 30%, every sentence literally will be a percent or not, right? So you have to make sure what you put on that piece of paper is meaningful and answers the questions as asked. So I can't say much more about that. The short answer questions, you've all done that before many times, okay? And then you're going to have, I don't have an example here. Oh, this is just the, no, sorry. I don't have an example here of a paragraph because we had them write an essay 2 years ago on the final exam. You are not writing an essay here. But there will be another question here, and I can tell you right now that you need to be familiar with the authors in the course, okay? So we read through quite a few of them, so make sure you go back and you know what Dillard's writing style is like, or you know what E.B. White's style is like, or Bertrand Russell, that type of thing. So go back, because I can guarantee you you're going to be asked something about one of those authors on the exam on Friday, which is where? Sherwood. When? Friday, 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. Okay, so that's going to be the first part, and that's going to be with 20 marks. So 6 questions worth 10 marks, and then a paragraph worth 10 marks. And for your paragraph, I will be looking at if you have a topic sentence. Hey, do you have supporting details? Have you quoted from the cite passage? Do you know how to conclude? All those things I'll be looking for. MLA, do you have an in-text citation? So make sure that I see evidence of that revision and editing. And that's another reason why we don't have you write an essay on an exam. Because I think it's a little bit daunting to read a passage, answer questions, and write a full essay in 2 hours. So this way, you can be very thoughtful and you can be very thorough with your paragraphs, okay? So again, if I look at it and I see that you've done a draft of your paragraph and then you have another polished piece, because you will have time for that, that would be excellent. So we're going a little bit different for part B here. So I don't really have a visual for that, but I'm just going to remind you what that's going to look like. So tomorrow after the drop boxes close, I'm going to post the link to the TED Talk that you're going to have to watch. And then you're going to have to respond to that at the exam. You will not have access to the video at the exam. I do think Miss Lee is going to have the transcript of the video available to you. So that's something, if you need, you can certainly use. You will not have the video itself. And so what you're going to do is, and think about, we've done a lot of media, right, in this whole course. You guys have done podcasts, you've done videos, you've done presentations. So it's going to definitely touch on that, and you're going to be very familiar with it. I do encourage you to, once you watch the video tomorrow, if you have any issues with it, do some research on the presenter. She's a journalist. Do some research on her. Any allusions she makes, any references, look those up. Have a really good, solid understanding of the TED Talk. And, you know, what I'm looking for when you get to the exam on Friday is I'm looking for a response. So I'm going to see if you have understood the video, but then can you articulate that and how does it connect to you, right? Because a lot of the times in the course it looked at we're represented in the media and what that does to our self-esteem, things like that. So you're going to have to make a text to self connection. So the text is the TED Talk, and then you, and then the course, and you're going to have to connect those all together for a thoughtful response. And again, it's going to be a paragraph, so there's going to be time for you. So the site passage you will not have seen, but the TED Talk you will have watched. It's about 10 and a half minutes long. I think it's not very long. So you could watch it 3 times in a half an hour, right? So not a lot of commitment there. But again, go into the FAQ or wherever you guys, I don't know what you kids do nowadays, wherever you discuss things, talk about it. It's pretty straightforward. So I don't think you're going to watch it, be at the end of the first watch and go, what was that about? It is very clear, okay? TED Talks are known for that, so there won't be issues with that. So this is a little bit different, right? So I wouldn't be too stressed about that part, but do make sure that you go over the outline that I posted in the news item and make sure that you are really aware of the video and you watch that. I do not want anyone to walk in on Friday and say, video? What video? Okay? The transcript will be there, probably for that reason. So I hope it goes well for you. I'm looking forward to seeing you. It's always a bit awkward at the exam because I've only seen one of you in person. No, that's not true. I've seen 2 of you in person. So it's a little bit awkward, but I look forward to seeing you. But like you, I'm probably most forward to being done the course because it has been a lot of work. So hopefully this has helped and you know what you're going to see, so there will be no surprises, but I am looking forward to you doing really well because remember, 30% of your mark. Thanks.